The best player season in every NBA franchise's history by net wins. Every franchise has that one season where a player took over, where everything clicked, and one guy's production carried the team on his back more than any other in that franchise's history. Using net wins, which measures a player's contribution to team victories based on their share of net possessions and their team's actual win total, we can put a precise number on those peak performances. Here is the best single season net wins performance for all 30 NBA franchises listed alphabetically. Atlanta Hawks, Mookie Blaylock, 1994-1995. Before he was the inspiration for a band name, Mookie Blaylock was one of the most disruptive guards in the league. In 94-95, he posted 12.1 net wins for Atlanta, averaging 17.2 points, 7.7 assists, and leading the league in steals at 2.5 a game. His combination of offensive creation and defensive havoc made him the engine of those Hawks teams, and no Atlanta player has topped his net wins mark since. Boston Celtics, Bill Russell, 1964-1965. Bill Russell's 64-65 season stands as the greatest in Celtics history by net wins, and it's hard to argue with it. He produced 19.7 net wins by anchoring a dynasty, grabbing 24.1 rebounds per game and averaging 14.1 points in an era when centers carried the entire defensive structure of their teams. Russell's net impact on Boston's possessions was enormous, and the Celtics won the championship that spring. Brooklyn Nets, New Jersey Nets, Jason Kidd, 02-03. Jason Kidd rebuilt the Nets franchise almost single-handedly. In 2002-2003, he generated 11.6 net wins while averaging 18.7 points, 8.9 assists, and 6.3 rebounds, a complete two-way profile that carried New Jersey to back-to-back finals appearances. Kidd's ability to control pace, push in transition, and defend opposing guards at an elite level made him the most impactful net in franchise history. Charlotte Hornets, Gerald Wallace. This one says a lot about the Bobcats era. Gerald Wallace's 9.5 net wins in 09 and 10 is the franchise peak, which reflects how thin the organization's history has been at the top. That said, Wallace genuinely earned it. 18.2 points, 10 rebounds, 1.5 steals, and 1.1 blocks per game, playing with a relentless physical energy that made him the team's best player by a wide margin. He was the rare Charlotte player who felt like he belonged in a bigger spot. Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan. The 72-win Bulls season in Jordan at his most complete. His 18.7 net wins in 95-96 leads the franchise, and it's not close. Jordan averaged 30.4 points by shooting 49.5% from the field and 42.7% from three, adding 6.6 rebounds and 4.3 assists. The Bulls won the title, and Jordan was unstoppable from November through June. This is the gold standard for Chicago franchise seasons. Cleveland Cavaliers, LeBron James. LeBron James' best net win season came in Cleveland, not Miami. His 19.9 and 08-09 leads the Cavaliers franchise, built on 28.4 points, 7.6 rebounds, 7.2 assists, and elite defensive effort. He won the MVP that year, and the Cavs had the best record in the East. The tragedy is that they ran into a buzzsaw Orlando team in the conference finals, but the individual performance is undeniable. Dallas Mavericks, Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk's 06-07 MVP season's the best in Mavs history. He posted 17.2 net wins while averaging 24.6 points, 8.9 boards, and 3.4 assists, shooting 50.2% from the field and 41.6% from three. He was the first European player to win league MVP, and for good reason. His footprint on that Dallas team was enormous. The first-round exit to Golden State still stings, but the season itself was elite. Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic. Jokic's 23-24 season lands at the top of Nuggets franchise history with 16.2 net wins. He averaged 26.4 points, 12.4 rebounds, and 9 assists, while shooting 58.3% from the field, his fourth MVP caliber season in 5 years. The Nuggets were defending champions, and Jokic was once again the most complete player in basketball. His ability to produce across all 5 statistical categories is what drives his net wins so high. Golden State Warriors, Stephen Curry. The unanimous MVP year, In 2015-2016, Curry's 16.9 net wins is the best the Warriors franchise has ever seen, and it came in the middle of the greatest regular season in NBA history, 73 wins. He averaged 30.1 points and connected on 45.4% of his threes, redefining what was possible from the perimeter. His net wins reflect just how much of Golden State's offensive production ran through him that season. Houston Rockets, Hakeem Olajuwon, 93-94. Hakeem's first championship season is also the best in Rockets history. His 16.7 net wins in 93-94 was the product of 27.3 points, 11.9 rebounds, 3.6 assists, and an absurd 3.7 blocks per game. The Dream Shake was at its peak, and Hakeem was virtually unguardable in the post. He won Finals MVP as the Rockets beat the Knicks in 7 games, and this season stands as the pinnacle of Houston basketball. Indiana Pacers, Jermaine O'Neal, 0304. The 0304 Pacers were one of the best teams in the East before the Malice at the Palace ended their season, and Jermaine O'Neal was the reason why. He posted 12.6 net wins on 20.1 points, 10 rebounds, and 2.6 blocks per game. O'Neal was a genuine franchise cornerstone during his Indiana peak, and this was his best season. A powerful interior presence who brought elite production on both ends of the floor. Los Angeles Clippers, Elton Brand, 0506. His 05-06 season is the best in Clippers franchise history, which fits a franchise that spent most of its existence searching for stars. Brand put up 24.7 points, 10 rebounds, 2.6 assists, and 2.5 blocks per game, posting 13 net wins on a Clippers team that actually made the second round of the playoffs. For one stretch in the mid-2000s, Brand was the legitimate top 10 player in the league. Los Angeles Lakers, Shaquille O'Neal. The highest net wins total among all active era franchises belongs to Shaq's 99-2000 season, and it's easy to see why. He posted 29.7 points, 13.6 rebounds, and 3 blocks per game while shooting 57.4% from the field, and the Lakers won the championship. At his peak, Shaq was simply dominant, and this was his best season by net wins. His 20.7 mark is the franchise's record by a large margin. Memphis Grizzlies, Pau Gasol. Paul Gasol was the best player in Grizzlies history, and his 05-06 season shows that he put up 20.4 points, 8.9 rebounds, and 4.6 assists by posting 12.7 net wins, a well-rounded profile that made him one of the most skilled big men in the league at the time. Memphis has had some good teams since, but no player in franchise history has come close to matching his peak wins total. Miami Heat, LeBron James. LeBron's second Miami season, his first championship year, comes in at 18.4, the best in Heat franchise history. He shot 56.5% from the field, 40.6 from three, while averaging 26.8 points, 8 rebounds, and 7.2 assists. The Heat won the title in 7 games over San Antonio, and LeBron won Finals MVP. This was arguably the most efficient all-around version of James across a full playoff run, and it shows up clearly in his net wins. Milwaukee Bucks, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 71-72. One of the highest net wins totals in the entire data set belongs to Kareem in Milwaukee, which has surprised no one who's studied this era. He averaged 34.8 points, 16.6 rebounds, and 4.6 assists while shooting 57.4% from the field. Production so dominant, his 20.9 net wins stands alone at the top of Bucks franchise history. Kareem had already won a championship in Milwaukee the year before and was in the middle of the most dominant stretch of his career. Minnesota Timberwolves, Kevin Garnett, 0304. KG's MVP season's the best in Wolves history, and it's not particularly close. His 19.4 net wins came on 24.2 points, 13.9 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2.2 blocks per game. A complete two-way monster who was the engine of the only 50-win Minnesota team in franchise history. Garnett won MVP and carried the Wolves to the conference finals. This season stands as the high water mark for the entire organization. New Orleans Pelicans, Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis' 17-18 season is the best in Pelicans franchise history. He posted 28.1 points, 11.1 rebounds, 2.3 assists, and 2.6 blocks per game on 53.4% shooting, a season that announced him as one of the 2 or 3 best players in the league. New Orleans made the second round before running into the Warriors buzzsaw. Davis's ceiling was clear, even if the supporting cast around him never quite got there. New York Knicks, Patrick Ewing, 92-93. His best net win season came in 92-93 when he posted 14.5 while averaging 24.2 points, 12.1 rebounds, and 2 blocks per game. As Pat Riley Knicks were a genuinely tough team, and Ewing was their anchor on both ends. He never got his championship ring, but this season's a reminder of just how dominant he was at his peak. One of the best centers in the league for nearly a decade, and the best single-season performer in Knicks franchise history. Oklahoma City Thunder, Kevin Durant, 13-14. Durant's MVP season is the best in Thunder franchise history. He posted 17.1 net wins by averaging 32 points, 7.4 rebounds, and 5.5 assists, and almost unbelievable scoring volume with elite efficiency, shooting 50.3% from the field and 39.1% from three. Durant won the MVP, and the Thunder had the best record in the West. His "You the Real MVP" speech at the end of the season press conference became one of the most memorable moments of that era. Orlando Magic, Shaquille O'Neal, 93-94. Before he got to LA, Shaq was already putting up historic numbers in Orlando. His 93-94 season produced 15 net wins, 29.3 points, 13.2 boards, and 2.9 blocks per game while shooting 59.9% from the field. He was 21 years old. The Magic were not a title team yet, but Shaq was already an unstoppable force. And this season's the best in franchise history by net wins. Philadelphia 76ers, Wilt Chamberlain, 66-67. The highest net wins total in this entire data set, 24.3, belongs to Wilt in Philadelphia in 66-67. He averaged 24.1 points, 24.2 boards, and 7.8 assists while shooting 68.3% from the field. The Sixers won the championship that year, and Wilt was operating at a level of dominance that's genuinely difficult to contextualize. His 24.3 net wins is one of the most extraordinary seasons in basketball history. Phoenix Suns, Charles Barkley, 92-93. Barkley's MVP season is also the best in Suns franchise history. He posted 15.4 net wins while averaging 25.6 points, 12.2 rebounds, 5.1 assists, and 1.6 steals and 52% shooting. Phoenix won a franchise record 62 games, and Barkley carried them to the finals where they lost in 6 to Chicago. He was a force of nature that season, undersized for a power forward, but completely unstoppable around the basket, and this remains the peak of Suns franchise history. Portland Trail Blazers, Clyde Drexler, 90-91. Clyde the Glide's best season by net wins when he posted 12.4 while averaging 21.5 points, 6.7 rebounds, and 6 assists on a Portland team that reached the finals. Drexler was the prototype for the athletic shooting guard, and this season was the peak of his Portland run. He was a complete player, scorer, playmaker, rebounder, and defender, and the best single season performer in Blazers history. Sacramento Kings, Chris Webber, 2000-2001. The early 2000s Kings were one of the most entertaining teams in the league, and Chris Webber was the centerpiece. His 2000-2001 season produced 12.2 net wins on 27.1 points, 11.1 rebounds, and 4.2 assists. A power forward who could pass like a point guard and score from anywhere. Sacramento's run came up short against the Lakers in 2002 under controversial circumstances, but Webber's peak production is the best in franchise history. San Antonio Spurs, David Robinson, 94-95. David Robinson's MVP season is the best in Spurs franchise history, edging out some of Tim Duncan's elite years. He posted 18.5 net wins while averaging 27.6 points, 10.8 rebounds, and 3.2 blocks per game. He won the scoring title on the final day of the season with a 71-point performance. Robinson was the complete package, elite defender, rim protector, scorer, and passer. This season stands at the very top of Spurs history. Toronto Raptors, Kyle Lowry, 2015-2016. His 2015-16 season is the best in Raptors franchise history by net wins at 10.5, a reflection of both Lowry's excellence and the relative youth of the franchise. He posted the 10.5 net wins by averaging 21.2 points, 6.4 assists, and 2.1 steals as Toronto won 56 games and made the conference finals for the first time. Lowry was the heartbeat of those Raptors teams, and his leadership and two-way production peaked this season. Utah Jazz, Karl Malone, 96-97. Malone's 96-97 MVP season is the best in Jazz franchise history. He posted 17.5 net wins by averaging 27.4 points, 9.9 rebounds, and 4.5 assists and 55% shooting. Utah won 64 games and reached the finals where they pushed the Bulls to 6 games. Malone and John Stockton were the most successful non-championship partnership in league history, and this was Malone's individual apex, the season that earned him the MVP and validated his place among the all-time greats. Washington Wizards, John Wall, 2016-2017. It's the best in Wizards franchise history. He posted 10.4 while averaging 23.1 points, 10.7 assists, and 2 steals for Washington as Washington made the second round of the playoffs. Wall was one of the fastest players the league's ever seen and a genuinely elite playmaker at his peak. Injuries ultimately derailed his career before he could add to his franchise record, but this season's the high point for a franchise that's had few of them. Net wins measures each player's contribution to team victories. Using the share of net possessions multiplied by the team's actual win total, all data covers NBA and ABA history. Stats are listed as regular season plus postseason. The net wins formula and all written content are original works. All rights are reserved. The database can be accessed at willf123.github.io/NBA-net-wins. Thank you.